I got a special treat for all of Dion's viewers. I talked him into taking me on a little field trip. Right now, we're gonna go see all of his rental properties from his entire portfolio. We're at the very first one he ever bought right now. Dion, tell us a little bit about it. What did you buy it for? How much did you pay?
So this was my first house hack. I owned a house as a homeowner, but I was not an investor. This was my first purchase as an investment. This is a duplex. I lived in one side. I rented out the other. When I first moved in, I paid around $300,000 for it with an owner-occupied 5% down payment, about $15,000 with closing costs of a couple $1,000s. While I was living here, I was paying about $300 a month towards the mortgage. The tenant covered the rest. Now that I moved out, when I moved out, it made about $800 a month in profit. Now it's closer to $1,500 a month that rolls in every month without me having to do anything. I think this is the first time I've been at this property since 2020.
So you said you bought it at about $300,000. What's it worth now, your estimate?
I think the Zestimate is like $650.
So you've more than doubled the value on this in just 11 years.
Which is really cool and not a number I ever think about.
Dion, we are at the infamous ex-wife house, the one that you won in a divorce. And coming from a fellow divorcee, as a man, if you win anything in court, it's a freaking miracle. So you have never gotten rid of this one, even though you tried to give it away during the recession. Tell us a little bit about your first rental property.
Well, the ex-wife house is not how I usually refer to it. This was the house infamous. I purchased before being an investor. I purchased around $2,000 for $98,000 with a first-time home buyer program where we wrapped up the closing costs. So I actually moved in for free, got the house for nothing out of pocket, walked away from the closing table with about $1,200, and refinanced in 2003 because of the divorce. Yay! At $150,000 so I can give my ex her portion of the equity, and lived here, house to raise the kids in. Around 2009, was trying to give the house away because I was underwater after the housing crash. Was not a real estate investor yet, couldn't do it, was stuck with it, so I tried to turn it into a rental. Had one bad year where I lost about $6,000 as a landlord, so that's generally not how you want to do this. Then I started self-educating myself, got a good tenant in place. It is now rented at $2,200 a month and is paid off. Nice. So like the other rentals, this one actually makes it possible for me to live without having to work.
And a house that's rented at $2,200 a month with no mortgage payment, no principal, no interest. You have to put aside money for the taxes and insurance, but you don't even have a property manager. So this is almost 100% straight cash flow.
Yeah, at $2,200 a month rent, it makes about $1,800 a month in profit.
Good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it doesn't suck.
We are at your third rental property, and I want to know when you bought this one and how much did you pay for it?
So this was the second duplex that I purchased. I was house hacking a duplex, owned a single family house, purchased this one for $298,000, I think 2015 or 2016.
Those are just wild numbers for me to think about. Knowing what I know about this area here in Washington, $298,000. What's it worth now?
Hovers somewhere between $550 and $600.
Shut up. You're such a jerk. I can't stand it.
It doesn't suck like some of the others.
We made it all the way out here to Dion's fourth rental property, his fourth investment property ever. Dion, tell us about this one.
So this is a duplex that I purchased not to live in. I didn't house hack this. I did this with a 20% down conventional loan, purchased for $290,000 after negotiating down the price with the inspection report. I've had tenants in place on both sides since 2018. Same tenants. This thing also prints money.
When did you buy it?
2018.
2018 is when you got it. Mm-hmm. And what's it worth now?
Yeah, in 2018 it was $290. So now it last came in as an appraisal when I refinanced it in 2020 at $540. So it's gone up a bit since then. When I first purchased it, that side had a hoarder living in it, and I had a contractor empty it out and for a very high price of free, as long as he got to keep whatever he found. And underneath all of the stuff, and where the hoarder had their stuff in there, there was plastic covering mint condition hardwood floors. So
it's a nice little present to find.
Right. Pretty happy with how this one's worked out. Keep the tenants pretty happy. Use the binder strategy again in 2022 because of the stuff that happened a couple of years before that.
Dion, it looks like you have a detached ADU over here. You got a little DADU, a little JADU.
It does look like there's a detached ADU over here. The only thing that matters when you have somebody do something like build a fort for their kids is let your insurance know and get something in writing from them saying that they are aware and they're okay with it.
See, what people don't know is here in the Seattle area, this little one bed, little doozy up here, that probably goes for $1,500 right there. That's beating all my rentals in Gary.
You could probably Airbnb it the way things are working here.
Dion, we're at your 5th rental property, and this is the one that you're still actively house hacking. It's a fourplex, but we want to hear about it. When did you buy it, and how's this unit been to you so far?
So I'm still house hacking. One of the things I really like about house hacking is a lot of people are paying for where they live. Me, I get paid about $2,500 a month to live here. I purchased this in January of 2020, so I've owned it now a little over 3 years. $590,000 purchase price. Was making about $1,700 a month when I first moved in, and because of inflation, which will make you rich, I'm now making about $2,500 a month to live here. I'm not sure how long I'm going to stay. It's kind of addicting getting paid to live where you do.
Dion, we're at your 6th rental property, a triplex. And I'm not gonna lie, I like this one. You happen to have the only sidewalk on the whole street. So tell us the story on this property.
I bought this triplex. It is actually a house with a duplex. One of these buildings is an ADU. I actually don't know which one is which. I bought it in November of 2020 during an eviction moratorium and a pandemic when everybody was saying don't buy real estate. Paid $525,000 for it as an investment property, so I didn't house hack it. I have not lived here. Actually, last year, middle of the year, was the first time I got to go inside this unit here when the tenant moved out of the area. And I had my 4th ever tenant turnover.
What was the appreciation like over the last 2 years people told you not to buy?
Yeah, this property that people told me not to buy is making me several $1,000s a month in profit. And I think the last value was like $950, might have been $900. So the appreciation has been terrible. It sucks owning real estate. Try not to time the market. Remember, time in the market is better. And the great thing about owning rentals like this is you can have properties like across the street where there is whatever that car on its side is.
Dion, right now we're at your most recent rental property purchase, another duplex. And you bought this one in 2021, back when everybody said don't buy because the market's about to crash. So what I want to know is, how far did the values fall on this thing after you bought it?
Well, the crash is so bad. I purchased this in May of 2021 I offered $400,000. We ended up closing with a $2,500 discount off of that. And now the place is only worth about $550,000. So I've lost negative $150,000 on this deal because of the housing crash that we're seeing. It sucks. I call this property Suite 16 because it was my 15th and 16th units. And I'm probably going to be buying some more, but if I don't, this was a good last property to buy. It's actually kind of ironic. When I was buying this property, like you said, in 2021, a lot of people were saying don't buy because there's an eviction moratorium going on and a pandemic, and there's probably going to be a massive housing crash. That unit was for sale too, and I told my friend that they should get it. Not only did they not buy it, they tried to talk me out of buying mine, which prints money like the other ones.
So Dion and I have been driving around, going from investment property to investment property, looking at all 16 of his units. And the question that I'm asking, and I'm sure all you guys have, is, Dion, did you ever envision yourself going from where you were, $80,000+ in credit card debt, to now having 16 units, financially independent, retired, in your 50s, living large?
No. Those first few years when you start investing, it really sucks. It feels like it takes forever. Everything is slow. There were 2 years between when I started saving and when I bought that first investment property. And then there were 2 more years before I got the next duplex. So in 4 years, I did 2 things. It starts really slow. And so having a day like today where we go around, we see the whole portfolio, and I see that everything that we looked at in one day gives me financial freedom, and I will never have to work again in my life because of the decisions I made in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's inspiring, and this is again a reason why I recommend that people network with people, because Dion has already accomplished what I want to accomplish. He's got more units than me, has more properties than me, and he's managed to retire and achieve financial independence. I'm still working a W-2 job, but one day I'm going to make it to where he is, and that's why I do it. So I'm just lucky that I get to be here with him. So hopefully you guys enjoyed going and taking a look at all of his different properties and hearing his backstory on them, because I know that I certainly did.
I look forward to our trip to Gary, where we're going to do the same thing with your portfolio.
But not today.
My little portfolio. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
My mortgage on this currently is, I think, $1,340 a month, and each side is rented out for $2,000. So I'll let you do the math on whether you think this is a good deal or not.